Hi everybody, I'm Kimathi Witt II, and I'm here with our Spotlight author.
How you guys doing? I'm Frank Destefano.
So Frank, how did you get into writing?
I was watching a movie called Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag, and I thought it was really terrible. And I could write something better than that. And this is where the Dark Legend of Foreigner book series has come from. So I'm a big movie person, so I love movies, and all the stuff that has come from it. It really inspired me. So that's where a lot of my writing comes from. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, stuff like that. So, I'm grateful for that, for that kind of content.
Yeah, do you think that your latest writings are better than what you were trying to become better
Oh
at?
yeah, because as you write, you grow as a writer and you develop better skill than what you had. So my editors always commend me that my stories that she edits are, I'm getting better and better, and hearing that is music to my ears because that's what you want to do. You craft, you want to get better at it, and apparently all the fans that buy my books have spoken for itself. So, and I'm very grateful for that.
How many stories are in the vault currently?
Well, I have book 4 and book 5. It took me about a year and a half to write them both combined. And currently, I have book 6 that it's on my computer, but I pushed it off for probably about another year. Probably total books that I have that I've written, probably about 9. 4 of them are out currently. The 3 Dark Legends, and then I have a suspense thriller called The Cody Cobb File. So thanks to NCIS, that's how that came about.
How did you come up with all these different ideas?
It's hard. Like a lot of writers have difficult coming up with storylines and everything. It depends. Everybody does it differently. Um, the best answer that I have, it just comes to me so naturally with the Dark Legend of the Foreigner. Suspense thrillers are tough to kind of write because there's a lot of twists and turns with and you always have to put stuff in your books that are going to be entertaining the reader. So, and you got to keep the storylines fresh. You got to invent old storylines with new ideas and everything. They just come naturally. That's the best way I could say. I've been asked at many book fairs and Comic Cons that I've done, and I get the same question over and over. And I really like the ideas for the Dark Legend just come to me so naturally. I could be driving down a highway out of state on vacation, and I see something. I'm like, all right, that's a great idea. It just comes to me. I could be stopped at a stop sign in Lindenhurst or on the LIE stuck in traffic that we all love on Long Island and it just comes so naturally. That's the best way I could say.
That's amazing. What are some good tips that you would give to aspiring writers as a seasoned writer yourself?
Never stop writing. I was an indie author, and I recently won a book award for the Dark Legend, and you gotta. It's love for writing. Blood, sweat, and tears, man. You're gonna have highs and lows. Sometimes the lows aren't fun. Being an indie author, you just gotta you got to be the freight train, right? You got to keep on rolling. You don't stop. No matter how bad you fall. Rome always rises, right? You got to make sure that you don't stop, and you surround yourself with those people that are going to lift you up when you're down, right? That's just in life, right? But especially in writing, when you have those ups and downs, all those people that you surround yourself with, make sure that they're able to lift you up, because I've lifted plenty of writers up and it's like, oh, I'm going to give up. I was one of those at one point. I wanted to give up, but I'm from New York, man. You never give up, and that's the best advice I could ever give anybody.
That's free game right there.
Yeah.
All right, and the final question: where can people find you if they can't attend any of the Long Island Authors events?
So they could find me at I'm on Instagram. So Frank dot Destefano. That's on Instagram. The Facebook is pretty much the same name, and then my website is frankdistefanoauthor.com. I'm also on Amazon. I'm on Target's website. I'm on Walmart's website, and if I continue to list them, I'll probably be here the rest of the evening, but there's Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and directly off my website, which is frankdistefanoauthor.com. Thank you for this great interview. I really appreciate everything, being out here, and, come on down and, buy some books from everybody, and it's rocking.
Yeah, it was definitely great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
And that was our spotlight author, Frank Destefano. We have another author by the name of
Dr. Renee Vasquez del Valle.
All right, so Renee, what do you want the readers to understand or take away from the title of your book? What does your title mean?
Well, for many it may be a little bit confusing, but when I say head, heart, crotch connections, I'm really talking about how people connect mentally, emotionally, and physically in relationships. It's really borrowed from what the Greeks used to term mind, body, spirit connections. Classical Greek philosophy talks about how the perfect individual is that individual who brings together the mind, the body, and the spirit. But you could imagine if I had titled this book Mind, Body, and Spirit, probably nobody would buy it. So head, heart, crotch connections is maybe a little bit more attractive to a person. It may catch their eye.
Yeah, this is my very first time seeing head, heart, crotch in the same.
Hopefully you understood what that meant when I said head, heart, crotch. How we connect mentally, head, emotionally, the heart, and crotch sexually or physically.
Yep.
And those are the three areas in a relationship that you have to understand. You have to be able to, relate to, figure out how you're connecting in those three areas for a successful relationship to happen.
Yep. All right, and who inspired you to write this, or what inspired you?
Oh, my major inspiration happened to have been my patients, the people that I treated for 30 years who were in therapy with me. It was at their behest. They asked me because they knew that I had developed this technique of analyzing the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? And that it worked for them, and they were able to overcome a lot of the difficulties that they were having in their relationships. So they were the ones who said, you got to write this book, you got to put it out there, because you were so helpful to us.
That's amazing. What is the importance of understanding the connections that are made in relationships?
Sure. Well, if you don't understand, or if you don't know what you're connecting to, you'll never recognize how it could fail, right? And relationships fail currently more often than they succeed. According to the APA, 50% of first marriages end in divorce. 60 to 65% of second marriages end in divorce. So the rates are not great, but often enough people don't know what caused the failure. It's often very elusive to them, it's hidden, and sometimes it's full of shame, and they find it very hard to talk about.
All right, what affects or creates success in connections?
Okay. Successful connections are those that bring together and are able to identify their head-heart crotch connections. What it is they like in the other person, what is it they like about them mentally, what is it they like about them emotionally, and what is it that they like about them sexually. And also, if they can identify what that other person likes about them. And that's often even harder for them to identify. What is it that your partner likes about your thoughts, your feelings, and your sexuality? The other thing that kind of like determines success is when you ask what I call the 6 W's of connection. And that is the who, the why, the what, the which, the when, and the where. Those 6, if you can answer those 6 W's, what I call of connection, so it could be like, who are you connected to? Why do you like them? What about your connection is satisfying? Which is your least favorite connection? Which is your strongest connection that you have? Those, when you explore that and you answer that, you become so much more connected to your experience, with that other person. And if you ask them those same questions about, in return to you, there is where that fuller connection happens, and you experience a greater attachment at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think would benefit most from reading this book?
But let me say first what I think causes failure in a relationships, okay?
Gotcha.
Failure in a relationship can result from differing attachment styles, right? Attachment styles influence our ability to connect in a healthy way in a relationship. It affects, for example, your willingness, your resilience, your stamina, how interested you are in a relationship, your ability to sustain a relationship. So if you suffer, for example, from an anxious attachment, or an avoidant attachment, or what they call an ambivalent attachment, that will affect your ability to connect. If you're always anxious, that means you're leery, you're reticent, you're fearful, that type of attachment. If you have an avoidant attachment, that means you're often fearful and not connecting. You're not willing to connect because you're avoiding relationship. If you have an ambivalent attachment, that would mean that a lot of uncertainty exists in your mindset. So you're never sure how, when, and if you want to connect. So attachment styles really do affect, success and can create failure in relationships.
And then, now we're all caught up.
Yeah.
Who do you think would benefit most from reading this?
Almost everyone, but single, partnered, couple people in relationships, those looking to create relationships with someone, those already in a relationship who are experiencing difficulties, can benefit from understanding their mind, body, spirit connections.
So pretty much anybody.
Pretty much anybody who's looking to be in a relationship, understand their own self in a relationship, and what they have to offer and what they want from the other person.
What chapter do you like the most out of this entire book?
That's a good question, because at one point I thought it was one chapter, but now I realize it's chapter 7. And that chapter is called When Familiarity Breeds Contempt. Because people think that intimacy always means closeness, right? And for the most part, it does. But the more intimate you become with someone, the more hateful you can be of them, the more contempt you can have for them. So intimacy can bring about genuine love, but it could also bring upon disdain for the person. You can only love someone that you're close to, right? You can't love a stranger, right? So intimacy in and of itself is a wonderful thing, and it can bring upon genuine attraction and love, but it can bring upon the awareness that you don't like that person the more you get to know them, So that, I think, has been, Shakespeare wrote familiarity breeds contempt, and I borrowed it and made it intimacy breeds contempt rather than familiarity, because I think familiarity and intimacy kind of mean the same thing,
Yeah, that's definitely creative. Mm-hmm. And final question, what do you want people to take away after reading this book? What's the main message that you want to get across to the readers?
Sure. Well, the first thing is that the book is available on Amazon. And I have an English version and I have a Spanish version of the book. But I also want people to know that relationships, they either thrive or they fail to thrive. Right? And that I offer them actionable advice to help them learn how to overcome their difficulties in relationships. So that there is hope despite the dwindling rates of success, you know, that connections can be altered and that relationships can succeed.
Well, it was nice chatting with you, Renee.
Great chatting with you. Thank you for the interview. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And thanks Long Island Authors. The Spanish version, Cabeza, Corazón, Cuerpo, Conexiones. Cómo no fracasar en su búsqueda de una relación amorosa ideal. And then, of course, the English version, Head, Heart, Crotch Connections, How Not to Fail in Search of Your Perfect Union.
Hey guys, am I good?
All right, so now we have our third author.
My name's Jordan Eilbert. Nice to meet you all.
My name is Jason Wills.
Oh, we got to bring it up here.
Bring it up.
My name is Jordan Eilbert, and author of The Guardian Temple.
And my name is Jason Wills. I am the co-author and illustrator of the book, The Guardian Temple, The Broken Throne of Heaven.
Well, nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
So, Jordan, this is the second book that you've released. Is there anything different about this book compared to the previous one?
So with the previous book, we wrote that primarily in the same kind of format that it was posted on No Sleep, which it was just kind of all first person. This, we've shifted the point of view to third person to give a lot more depth into the characters. And speaking on depth of the characters, I'll Jay for that.
Yeah. So going from first to third person gave us a lot of creative room to build more emotion, more character conflict, more emotion of the characters themselves, to have people be able to relate more with the characters.
All right.
What was your inspiration for the Guardian Temple series, and where do you see it going from here?
So my inspiration was that when I was younger, I basically had, I was in a multi-religious group. My parents, my mother was Catholic, my father's Jewish, so I kind of had an interesting perspective on religion in general. The story is heavily influenced by different religions, not just Judeo-Christian, but also Islam, a little bit of Greek mythology as well. And I kind of thought, well, what if that was all of it was right in some way, and it was spilling out into the modern world? And that's what the Guardian Temple's about. You're following these supernatural beings kind of hitting the modern world and hitting a lot of resistance in the process.
Your co-author is also listed as the illustrator. The cover is a far departure from the last title. Is this only a change from the cover, or are there more illustrations that the reader should expect coming?
If you want to try to find some in there. So this particular book, we went into 3 different character arcs. So not only did I design the cover, but I also designed the artwork inside for the 3 main arcs. Also, there's going to be a lot more artwork coming that we're going to be selling on the side.
We do have prints available today.
We have some prints available upstairs on our booth. And it's been a pleasure to put my name on something officially and be able to do my artwork for a good cause.
How did you guys end up meeting each other, and when did you guys decide to finally collaborate on something?
Good question.
I met Jay. I can't actually take credit for meeting Jay. My dog Sadie helped me meet Jay. And she walked up to him. He was a neighbor of mine, and she just kind of started getting us involved. Yeah. And we started hanging out after that, and that's when Jay told me he's an illustrator. And from there, I started telling him about my book, and we just kind of started to collaborate.
Yeah,
I'll have Jay expand a little bit more.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Yeah, if it wasn't for the dog, we probably would have never met. But yeah, being a freelancer, especially a ghost freelancer for so long, I had wanted to put my name on something, and reading his works and Jordan's stuff, that it really compelled me to start co-writing and working on this whole project. Yeah.
This kind of just fell on your lap.
Yeah, basically just a twist of fate, actually.
I say it was destiny.
We kind of met up. Yeah, we kind of met up, and he's a writer. I write. I do drawing. So we're like, hey, let's work on the next book together.
As this is the second book, to circle back, what is similar to the previous book, if anything, is similar?
So the main similarities are it's the same universe. It's the same characters, so to speak. Not the exact same characters. We have some callbacks in the first book. Father Thomas returns. We have a few mentions from some of the other main characters. Timothy is back. The story focuses a little more on Timothy as he grows. He's our main protagonist, so to speak. So there's a lot more of him and there will be as the story progresses. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at there.
What made you decide to go from first person to third person in this book?
We really wanted to get more descriptive. A lot of the first person stuff has one limitation, and that is your unreliable narrator, so to speak. So I like playing with it online, where you'd have one event happen from one person's point of view, and then you could have the same event happening again, but someone else describes it differently. But I realized as we're publicating this, that's not really necessary. It kind of narrows the field of view for the reader. So we shifted to third person to give more detail to the events and what's going on as far as that's concerned.
So, like, in addition to that, for the same question, like, it's for me. I have written some things before, certain things in for like Viz Media, manga stuff, a lot of NDA stuff I can't really talk about. However, for me, going from first person to third person, it gives us a lot more reach to have people that are reading it really relate to the character, express their emotions a lot more, and give more feeling. So like when you're reading it, it doesn't feel like you're reading somebody else's position. You're actually in there with them.
With the drastic change from first to second, have you considered a revision to the original work?
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah, we actually are going to be doing a re-release of the first book. We're going to do a full rewrite and kind of give it the same treatment so that it's on the same level of quality, because it was our first book. It was the first one that we had ever put out. Even our publisher was new, and our publisher's not around anymore. We are now with Franklin Publishing, however, so much larger publication, a lot more professional. So we kind of want to give the same treatment to the second edition of our first book.
Yeah. So the basic things that are going to change are we're going to go from first person to third person like we did with this book. Give more of a feel for everybody, for the characters, for people to dive deeper into the first book that they could before. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm going to be doing brand new cover art for the book, so it's going to have a whole new look and feel.
So what I'm taking away from this is the more details that can be added, the better the book is going to be.
Absolutely, yep.
Definitely. We want people to be able to relate to the characters in one way or another, instead of just reading a story.
We want them more engaged, so to speak.
Of course. Now, do you see this series as anything other than the brilliance or medium?
I mean, listen, my dream I'd love to be picked up as a Netflix series or an animated series of some kind. That would be super. That'd be awesome. I know you'd be super stoked about an animated series.
Yeah, I'm definitely working towards the goal of possibly doing, an art director job for an animated series for this. It'll be definitely up my alley, up the scope, and a lot more creative. We can put a lot more emotion visually than you can textually. So
we have a mild disagreement about that. Obviously, him being the illustrator and me being the writer.
Well, I am a writer also.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Sorry.
All right, final question.
Yep.
What can we expect from the next book, if any, if you feel you can give us any insights into what we can expect without revealing too much.
So while this book is focused mostly on our protagonist, the next book's going to have a little more on our antagonists, kind of establish our main line of villains.
The villain story. Yes, the villain story.
Yes, so we're going to go that direction. I'll leave it at that for now. There's
To expand the universe.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely,
Well, it was a pleasure getting to chat with you guys.
absolutely. It's great.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Yep, and hopefully this does become a animated Netflix series sometime in the future. That'd be beautiful to see.
That would be great to see.
We definitely hope for it. But we're happy with what we got so far, and hopefully with everyone's support, we'll get further.
Yes, thank you all, and don't forget, check out the Guardian Temple, Broken Throne of Heaven. Thanks again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, and that is all of our authors for today's event. I'd like to give a special thanks to Long Island authors for making all of this possible. Along with James Joyce of Patchogue, this venue is amazing. They're the other half. Without them lending us this space, this wouldn't be possible. And then I'd also like to give one more thanks to our sponsor for this event, the Burns team, Brendan Burns.